Fetterman, ex-chief of staff, told Senator's doctor he won't be with us for much longer. Wow. He said, we do not know if he's taking his meds, and his behavior frequently suggests he is not. We don't know for sure that this is true. And this is an ex-chief of staff. He's not even around Fetterman anymore. So how did he know if he's taking his meds or not? So we're going to kind of take this with a grain of salt, but still we're going to report this. We're going to go over this, and I'm not speaking from a mental health as a mental health therapist. I'm not speaking from I'm not saying that these things that are charged or alleged against him are true. So I'm not going to be we call it an armchair. Sorry, I'm not going to be an armchair therapist or anything like that and try to diagnose him or anything like that. But we're just going to report it as Zero Hedge or Modernity News reports it. We're going to talk about it because this is something serious. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree. My link tree in the description has a link to my Patreon. That's where I talk about things that I can't talk about here. There's also a link to my Instagram and my X account, so follow me there as well. Oh, and really quick, I also want to apologize. I got some older videos. I just noticed from last week that the audio is really bad. I didn't notice that the audio was coming from my camera and not my microphone. So if y'all check out any of those old videos, I apologize for that. I didn't notice it until like yesterday or the day before, and I fixed that problem just to let y'all know. So I apologize for the past audio. All right, so let's get into this. Let's get into this news here. Now, this comes from Modernity News by way of Zero Hedge. And they report that Democratic Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman's former chief of staff was so alarmed by his mental health last year that he sounded an alarm with the Walter Reed doctor, who treated him during his lengthy inpatient stay for severe depression in 2023. Former aides who are in contact with Fetterman's shrinking inner circle say his behavior continues to cause periodic concern about his danger to himself and those around him. Now, speaking as a therapist, I can say that just because someone had depression a few years ago, don't mean they're not fine, not doing better today. It doesn't mean that they're not using their coping skills, and doesn't mean they're not taking their medication and they're not better. So I just want to point that out as well. I've worked with a lot of clients that had jobs, very important jobs, Fortune 500 companies and governmental jobs and things like that. And so I work with people from all walks of life. So just because they just happen to have some type of mental health problems in the past doesn't mean that they didn't get better and then they can't perform their duties. So I want to throw that out there as well. He said, quote, "I'm worried that if John stays on his current trajectory, he won't be with us for much longer," wrote Adam Jenselson in his 2024 email to Dr. David Williamson, neuropsychiatry chief at Walter Reed. Jenselson sent the email in May, weeks after he resigned from Fetterman's staff. In quitting, he became the fifth top aide to jump ship since Fetterman's beat Trump-endorsed TV doctor Mehmet Oz. I can never say that dude's name. In 2022. Jentelson's 1,600-word email, first reported by New York Magazine, referenced many warning signs that Fetterman's family and other close confidants had been told to watch out for. But before I get to what he said, we have to understand that the guy sent this email on his way out. So it could have been just a gruntled employee or what have you. So we got to kind of take this with a grain of salt. Because I've worked with people before that had vendettas against people when they leave work and they try to set off bombs and stuff before they leave. So I've seen this before. So again, we got to kind of take it with a grain of salt, especially when it pertaining to other people's mental health, and someone that we haven't talked to. So I haven't sat down and talked to myself. It's kind of hard for me to go in and say, okay, this is absolute truth. But quote, We often see the kind of warning signs we discussed. Conspiratorial thinking, megalomania. For example, he claims to be the most knowledgeable source on Israel and Gaza around, but his sources are just what he reads in the news. He declines most briefings and never reads memos. High highs and lows, long, rambling, repetitive, and self-centered monologues, lying in ways that are painfully, awkwardly obvious to everyone in the room. We do not know if he's taking his meds, and his behavior frequently suggests he's not, wrote Gentleson. And a staffer told New York there have been days when aides would make sure nobody from outside the office came into contact with him. Days when he was in, quote, some sort of state where he could potentially say some, quote, really, I'm not going to curse. Y'all know I try not to curse on this platform too much, but, quote, really effed up stuff, you know, the S word, to constituents. Maybe that's just his demeanor. I mean, I'm not caping for him. This could be true, or this could be just how he is. In February, Fetterman was recorded being uncooperative with a pilot directing the overweight senator to either adhere to FAA rules requiring that one's fastened seatbelt is visible or get off the plane. So let's check out this clip here. So here's some evidence here, I guess. Here we go.
Is your seatbelt on?
Yes, it is.
Okay, it needs to be visible for the crew at all times. That's not on. That's not an us thing. That's a federal regulation. So it's okay. It's okay.
I put my seatbelt on and I haven't said anything.
Okay, it's okay, but it just has to be visible to the crew at all times. It's a federal regulation, so if your seatbelt's on, it just has to be visible. And right now, it's not visible. We have an extender if you'd like that. It'll make it bigger so it can go outside of your sweatshirt. Would that work?
This looks like to me as a guy that does not like to follow the rules. I mean, this is the same guy that wear hoodies when he goes to the White House and things like that. He doesn't wear a suit like normal politicians do. Because this is a guy that just don't like following the rules. That's no indication of any type of mental health issues. I mean, it could be, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it is.
Sir, if you want to go to Pittsburgh, it's simple. You have to follow our instructions, or you're going to ask to get off the airport. We're not asking much. All that we need to be able to see.
Put on a seatbelt. Yeah.
Okay, what's a federal regulation? So if I don't make you do it, then I get in trouble, and I don't want to get in trouble.
Everyone knows that's a federal regulation, though. Why is he giving the guy a hard time? Like, come on, bro. If I was in there, I'd be like, come on, bro. You're holding up the flight, man. Come on, man. Well, sources describe tension between Fetterman and his wife. Quote, in March, Fetterman suddenly took an early morning trip to Hartford, Connecticut without telling his team why, leaving them at a loss for what to tell Giselle when she demanded to know why he was missing one of their kids' birthdays, according to New York. Fetterman disputed the account, explaining he was visiting a grad school friend's grave and claiming that his family and aides knew about it. In his email last year, Gentleson also said Fetterman was avoiding his doctors. Quote, he long ago ordered us to stop putting regular drop-bys with Dr. Monahan on his schedule, despite the fact that he had agreed to those as part of the plan. In group text from March 2024, staffers noted that the blood tests that were to be included in those appointments were, quote, pillars of the recovery plan. Fetterman consulted Eric Stern. A consultant, Eric Stern, wrote, quote, is there any universe in which his wife, Giselle, could convince him to get his levels checked? I'm honestly just worried for him and don't know who else could get through to him. So, okay, more witnesses are coming out and saying kind of the same thing. So there might be something here. Gentleson worried about Fetterman growing increasingly isolated, telling Williamson that, quote, John has pushed out everyone who was supposed to help keep him on his recovery plan. He said the senator was spending hours gazing at this phone and composing tweets, Fetterman said was said to have previously acknowledged that a preoccupation with social media was a principal accelerant of his depression. Wow. So again, I don't want to make this video too much longer. Y'all get the gist of it. But I want to know what y'all think about this. Do y'all think Fetterman is going through some type of mental health crisis right now? Leave y'all comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe. And check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.